another special episode of Mayoral Bursary. One of the Mayoral Bursary committee members, Onana social worker. So right now we're covering everything the bursary. We've been talking about bursaries. So right now we will be talking to one of the people that we go through the verification process. The Bitola Hayeke aus Tebogo, Mako, social worker. So they've been saying over through these application processes, the verification processes, they pass through you. And then they give up do you remember the conversation with a social worker? So today you don't want to that conversation. So before we can go any further, can you please introduce yourself properly and then refer your role within the Mayoral Bursary Committee?
My name is Tebogo, Mako. I'm a chief social worker from social development here in Mfuleni municipality. My role in this committee is just to ensure that verification happens properly, that the right candidates are the ones who are afforded this opportunity, the people who really qualify and are people who are in need, and those are the people that really get to be selected and offered these bursaries.
So what is the responsibilities do social workers have during the application processes?
During the application process, we don't have much that we do really. The process happens with the admin staff that are handling the applications and all of that. We are mainly involved when it comes to the selection of applicants, just to see that, is this the candidate that qualifies not only in terms of academic achievement, but in terms of their socio-economic background? Are they the right people that get this bursary? So we are involved from that process in the selection, and then the verification will definitely happen where a social worker with that application that has been approved would take that application, go and meet the actual applicant in their own home circumstances, so that you can see, is this the person who have applied? Do they really stay there? And what are the psychosocial circumstances of that family?
So do social workers determine financial needs for maybe the applicants?
Not social workers on their own. Remember, there's a committee, and there's a certain amount that has been set by the committee itself to say that 350,000 income and below are the people that qualify for this. So just to make sure that, paperwork, it could be that on paper the person qualifies because they've submitted certain documents, and when you see them you can think that this is a good applicant or this is a qualifying applicant. But when you go to the actual family, that's when you really see this is the real situation. This is the true reflection of what the person has indicated in their paperwork.
That's how home verification.
That's where the verification of the home circumstances is really important. When you come across the family, remember, you don't only meet the applicant, but you meet the people that live in that house, the parents, the extended family, and everybody else, and that's where you can make your assessment as to whether this applicant really qualifies based on their home circumstances, as well as the evidence that they have provided when they applied.
So what if the information is incorrect later when you discover it?
When you discover that the information is incorrect, it's like you need to make that decision as to, do you still go ahead with this applicant or not? But if you feel that maybe it was not a true reflection of how this of the circumstances of this person, then you have to decline that, because now the person was dishonest. They did not reflect their true identity or their true circumstances. So if we come across then we need to decline that application, because it's forgery in simple words. Yes.
So how does the verification process ensure fairness? Or like monana re selecta fail.
I agree. Remember when we meet these people, we meet them in paper. In paper, you see this person, and when you see the paperwork and everything, you can think this person qualifies. But then you need to go to that house and see that people. Is this the true reflection of what has been indicated in the paperwork? You understand? That's where the fairness process comes in. Because if you say that you cannot afford, and then you cannot produce pay slips, for example, so it makes it difficult for us as a committee to make that decision to say, in the requirements, you have to submit certain things, and when they are not there, then it means then we cannot make that decision. Or maybe if you have submitted somebody else's documents which are not yours, things like that, that's when they come to light to say that you said this is your mom and your mom is earning a state pension, but your mom is working for the Department of Labor. She earns quite well. So really, in those circumstances, that's when you need to make your decision to say, because of your, I don't want to say lies, but because you are not true with your application, then, the application would then need to be declined after you have assessed and you have made sure. Because other people would be saying that they don't have parents, they would be using grandparents' details, and then during your assessment, that's when you find, no, this person has got parents and they're alive. So these people did not tell us the truth of their own circumstances. So those things do help. The going at home and speaking not only to the applicant but to the whole family will give you a true reflection of their own lifestyle.
So you can now the challenges sitting at, and so as a social worker, the challenges the experiences during the verification.
The challenges they vary. There are so many, because it's like how do these people manage to survive in these circumstances? Some of them are so severe and so critical, but they have managed to overlook all of that and still achieve well academically and all of that. So challenges when you come, like maybe as a social worker, if I've gone there, I'm not gone only for checking this application, bursary. If you come there and you see that there's other problems, social problems as well, you cannot ignore those. You have to address other issues that you did not go there for. You cannot say, no, I came here only for the bursary thing. If you go there and you see that there's a gogo there who's not getting their SASA, or there's a disabled person who is not treated for you, so you do your intervention as a social worker, with you including other problems that were not directly related to what you went there for. You would then see other problems that are there that are experienced by the family, and you would then intervene as a social worker, besides the bursary thing that made you to go to that family.
So the applicants or the verification process is easier.
I think honesty is the best policy. If you're honest and you know that these are your circumstances, and you know that you are academically able to achieve and are able to meet the requirements, that will be the best thing. It will make our work much easier if people are honest and produce what is supposed to be, rather than trying to hide things. Because if you hide, there are ways that we do that we find. There are means that we use to find out if you were not honest, or if you were economic with the truth. You did not tell us the whole truth. Maybe you did not lie, but you did not expose the whole thing. So it will make our job much easier if people are honest and put forward what is expected of them, rather than us to be saying, but you said you don't have a parent, but there's no death certificate. You said your mom is not employed, but there's no affidavit indicating that. You said your mom is working as what, but there is no pay slip to indicate that. So I think if people are honest and they are able to give what is expected, it will make the process much more easier.
So how shall the impact, what impact this program is over the years since
I think the progress is massive. Because imagine the people that have benefited out of this who would not have had any opportunity to study. So the lifestyle changes, because remember, if you educate one child, you are not just educating that person, you're educating and empowering the family as well, because one graduate is going to help the family. So young people that have benefited from this, I think the results are just, they cannot be measured in terms of finances, but they are there. They are, people will always come. Sometimes you have forgotten the person, and then they will come back to say, you helped me to do this, and I've graduated, now I'm working where and where. And it's like, things like that that makes this to be a worthwhile, to see that there is an impact. If this did not happen, this child would not have graduated, this child would not have received employment or had an opportunity to study and do other things, like other people that come from families that could afford to take them to tertiary institutions. So I think the effect is really big, and it's something that we cannot ignore. It's really big, because it really is changing the lives of people that would have maybe remained the same, or could have ended up doing crime, doing drugs and all those kind of things. So this is something that is really good, that is benefiting the community at large.
So on our conversation, it's also lady applicants.
Yeah, there are those ones who would be so nice. They would come during school holidays, and without you inviting them, they would just come to say, I've just come to see you to let you know that I'm doing well, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And we talk to young people it's not only about the finances going to school. We give them advice as well, to say, when you get to school, this is how you need to behave, this is what you need to do. Remember, you are there, you're being funded. So stresses of finances are disallowed. Your goal is just to get there, get that qualification, get that education. Don't go and end up getting into groups and getting into alcohol and because remember, at tertiary institutions, it's not only learning. There's so many other things that young people end up doing that distract them from what they've come there for. So I have personally not come across. I think there was just one where the young person had other social issues, that they could not stay at the university residence because they had other issues happening. But I have not personally come across one that went and things did not go well. So far, I haven't. Maybe they are there, but I have never come across them. With this one went and things did not go well for them, and they ended up with nothing. So far, I haven't. Maybe they are there, but it's just that I personally have not come across such people.
Okay, just a few questions before we go. So what advice would you give to families preparing for verification visits?
Advice is just that, remember, this process starts with the application. Families, they know that they are not in good financial positions to take their children to universities, is to encourage young people who are about to go there to institutions to apply for this funding, and to give as much information as possible. Information that is requested, it needs to be available so that it's easier for the committee to make a decision. If they give everything and they provide all the relevant documents that they need, that would make the job easy. And remember, the part of verification is not that we are policing people or trying to catch them out. It's just to ensure that the bursaries that have been awarded are awarded to people that really and honestly deserve them. It's not to try to catch them out, to say that you said this and now we are going to find out that this is not what you have provided us with. That is not the aim. The aim is to ensure that people that honestly qualify for this, they are honestly getting what they have applied for. And that is how we are helping. We are there to help and make sure that the process is smooth and that everything goes as expected.
So what do applicants should avoid maybe during application processes?
I think what is important is that they need to read. If they don't understand, they need to ask. Because there's nothing as bad as having an application that is incomplete, or an application that is put aside because things were not done properly. So if they get these application forms, if they come to a hitch or a glitch, they need to ask for help. They can, even the lady said before me that they can come to the bursary office to say, when I was filling this form, I came across this and I don't understand. They would, with wholeheartedly, help them to make sure that information that is needed is provided, and to ensure that they have applied to institutions. You cannot apply for a bursary, but you did not apply to an institution. You know what I mean? You should be proactive in that way, that I've already applied to this institution and that institution and so forth, and these are the applications that I have already have prepared. So that when the selection process comes, you know which institution you want to. And the other thing I could tell young people is that they need to, if you apply to a tertiary institution, don't just apply for one course. Have a second backup. You know, if you don't like dentistry, maybe you'd like pharmaceutical or what, so that if you are not accepted or your marks are not good for that course, then there's a second course that maybe the institution could offer you. So if you're saying, for example, I want to study BA economics, if I cannot get through, what else can I study? Or, you know, they need to have a second option, because there's nothing bad as somebody who have already qualified and they have the bursary and the institute, but they did not get through because what they wanted to study is not on offer. And if you check, they did not take a second option. Because remember, when you are studying, you can't just say, I want to study medicine and that's my first and my all. Because what happens if you don't get the qualifications, or you do not have enough marks to make you to get into medicine? What is the second option from medicine? So those are that is the advice I can also advise young people to. You know, when you apply to an institution, make sure that you have a second. You have your first option, obviously, that's what you want to do, but have a second option so that if the first one doesn't work out, the second one is there for you.
Okay. Inspire working. Inspire working to be part of this program that helps young people to achieve the educational goals.
Inspiration. I just think it's what I do. That's my job, you know. My job is to make sure that I inspire, and I also love working with young people. That's one of the things that I love. I love to see young people going from nowhere and achieving something. It shows that, you know, you are creating an impact in society. So it excites me when I see young people doing well, achieving. It's like, you know, this is what I was made to do, and this is happening. I think that's what inspires me on a daily basis.
And I could give a support. You also support the students. The message of what message you can find the parents for supporting the learners maybe during their studies?
I think what is important, and I'm basing it personally on me, when I was a student many years ago, it's so nice to be remembered by your parents, to say, let me give my daughter a call and see how she's doing. That's on its own, just to see how you're doing. Are you fine? Is everything going how it's supposed to? I think that is the role that guardians and parents. It's more than the money. It's that somebody cares for me, somebody cares about how I'm doing. Things like that keeps a young person encouraged and motivated to say, you know what, my parents, even though they don't have money, but they care about me. They care about my progress. They want to know what is happening in my life. That is the biggest thing that parents can offer. Those with money and those without money. It's important that you ask your child, how is the cost going? How are things going on in where you're staying in your residence? Is everything okay? What else can I do even if I don't have money? What can I do? What do you want me to do to make things easy? I think those kind of things are some of the things that help young people to feel loved, to feel motivated. It makes a big change in their lives.